Well, I don't know what to say. I don't have time to make a video in depth like I want. But it has been 3 years since I spoke last. I've been trying to keep a job and keep my income coming in and trying to save it so I can have some financial stability. In 2011, I posted a lot of videos and I was living out of my car and I was living off my savings, and I don't want to go through that again. I didn't really get anything out of that. I thought I was focusing 100% on my problem, but I still wasn't getting anyone to help me. And so I've kind of put priorities, changed my priorities a little bit so that I could have some financial stability. I will say that I've become, what's the word, lackadaisical with pursuing this particular problem. And I hope I can do something in the near future to address it. I still have all the evidence sitting around on hard drives, medical records, just waiting to compile and stick together and put together and show it to somebody. So thanks for the viewers that are staying in tune to my channel. Thank you for hanging in there, and for those that are what I would call the detractors that seem to want to say things that detract from the real story, especially saying things that have no basis in common sense or fact. I just wish you would go away. I mean, if you don't like the story, just do something else, I guess. But health-wise, my groin is progressively getting worse. I can ride a bicycle, I can walk around fairly well, but there's some major stiffness that gets progressively worse. Not on a daily basis, but over time, maybe on a yearly basis. I have a little bit of dizziness right now that started about a year ago. There's so much to say, I don't know what to say. I hope you can see me. I don't have time to make an elaborate video, and I'm trying to say something that is not too in-depth. It's something that I could say and not have to clarify too much. I stopped taking photographs of my groin for some reason. I think I just, maybe it got too painful to do. Maybe I didn't see any changes after a certain period of time. It just looked worse. It just looked bad every time I took a picture. So I haven't taken a picture in maybe a year. At one point I was taking pictures on a phone and the phone died and I lost all the pictures. So that was disheartening, and maybe I kind of lost interest or motivation to spend time doing it. What else? Okay, I'm feeling dizzy every now and then, and I have a right ear issue that's kind of chronic for the last year or so. It just doesn't seem to want to clear up. I did some research, and based on the color of the fluid discharge, it looks like a CSF leak, which is a cerebral spinal fluid leak. So I don't know if that's related to what I'm calling a tissue preservative exposure that I believe was started by Dr. Suporn for reasons I've already described in my other videos. I guess it's possible that if tissue becomes embalmed, it can present as a non-functioning mass, and if the embalming has reached the base of my spinal, the spinal area, I guess it's the cerebral cortex, is the spinal area at the base of the brain. It's possible that it could have reached other parts of the brain and increased the pressure, cerebral spinal fluid pressure, and that may have resulted in a leak. Not in and of itself, but through that and me being trying to be active and exercising. If you bend over and you're doing something that's causing pressure on your head, in your head, it could cause the problem that was set up by the increased pressure. So I'm thinking that's a possibility, but I would have to have a scan, a head scan, brain MRI, and I've had problems with healthcare. I think the healthcare premiums I just checked recently are $680 a month for me, and I'm just 53 years old. I thought that was kind of steep, so I'm thinking my plan is to not get health insurance until I'm going to use it, because when I'm working I don't have time to do it. I also play the drums still. These are my drums, and I'm in a band, and I do that because well, I've had all these drums, all the drum sets in my life, and it's hard to just walk away from that because of one issue. And again, that's probably a fault of mine. If I had put 100% of my effort into solving this particular problem, then maybe I would be over by now and moving on to the things that I love to do. But easier said than done, and I just feel, I'm glad that I get to have a video. I don't feel like I've been a credible source of late, because I haven't been timely with my effort on solving this problem. So I'm kind of glad that I have an excuse. I mean, this is an important day, 10 years. I have an excuse to make a video and talk to my viewers that are out there. I don't have many viewers, I don't think. I know that there are people out there that don't like these videos and are trying to discredit me. But there have to be some viewers out there that appreciate these videos. Either they're afraid to say so. I believe the transgender community is knowledgeable about this case, because I've gone to random support groups and talked to people, and they already know about my problem, and they immediately ostracize me and say that, you know, trying to help me might doom their own transitions. I've had people tell me that, and so I've had no help from the transgender community. I had someone that's pretty popular in the transgender community reach out to me, but it was a Facebook contact that I didn't have time to really vet to see if it was the real person, and the person kind of had rejected me a few years before that, and so I didn't respond right away. So you know, if you're listening, I am sorry if I did not respond to your invite on Facebook. At some point, after all the rejection, you kind of give up, and you just want to detach yourself from everything and try to do it on your own. And I haven't given up on that effort. I still want to do this on my own. My family is still not going to help me. I don't have a wife and kids, so I don't have that kind of support. Medical community so far, I don't know of anyone that's interested in helping. I don't have anything to show for anything over the last 10 years other than I'm still alive, and I'm someone that's not afraid to speak out. It's very hard to talk about what I went through, because I've been through so much. And when I tell people about it, they become oversaturated. And these are people that are used to getting results, and when they see the things that I'm going through and what it would take to help me, they back away, because it's not easy. It's a problem that's not easy to help someone. And I didn't think that there were people like that in the world everywhere. I'm finding everyone that I talk to about it is way below my par setting for how to treat people ethically. I don't understand it. It's one of the frustrating things about this particular problem. So I haven't given up, but I'm sure that the people that are the detractors have not given up either. They're going to say, you know, why are you still doing this, and calling me, you know, bitch, and you know, you're sick and you need to get some psychological help. I just don't know what to say about that. You know, I can hold a day job, which I have right now, and I can afford these drums and afford a roof over my head. I don't think I'm crazy if I can do that. What I find it interesting, though, is how the transgender community can alienate someone. And I believe they're doing it to protect one of the good surgeons that is offering a service for them. I think they're also protecting the surgeon, because the real story could be, I don't have any proof, the real story, I mean, there's compelling evidence. The real story is that the transgender transgender community had ostracized me from comments that I had made on some of the forums. I happen to be stealth, or believe in stealth. I believe in simulation of a transgender person into a binary gender system. I don't believe in being out and proud, but I believe in someone's right to be out and proud. Okay, so, but for my own goals, I believe I have the right to fit in if I want. Okay, so when you're discussing those kinds of perspectives on transgendered forms, it can tick off some people for whatever reason, and then you have the other aspect besides that is how you feel about how the actual condition is caused by. Is it caused by genetics? Is it caused by how you were raised by your parents? And I made some statements that were at odds with the mainstream transgender community. So I don't have any proof that this is a hit job by the transgender community, but I have not been helped by the transgender community at all. I've been shut out. In fact, when I went to every transgender support group, they blocked me from posting my problem. I tried to discuss it with anyone. They would not let me post and be part. They would let me read, but they wouldn't let me post my thoughts on their message board. And this happened the day after this this sabotage happened. Am I still recording? Oh my gosh, I'm still recording. I'm not talking to myself. I was blocked from the Dr. Suporn's support group in Thailand the day after I had complications. And people were telling me that it's unusual for that to happen, but at the same time, they were assuring me that it was the right thing to do, that I was going to be fine. They said I was going to be fine. I was exaggerating my symptoms. They were absolutely positive, but at the same time, it had never happened to anyone else. No one has been barred from a support group at the peak of their needs of that support group. And so now, 10 years later, and I've posted pictures online showing the evidence, and people just think it's okay to ignore it for some reason. Like, if they ignore it, it's going to go away or something. What happens when you ignore a problem? It can get worse, and it gets worse for everybody involved, including me. But it gets worse for the viewer that thinks that they can ignore something and it's all right, because in the world we're all living together, and you may not have had a hand in the initial damage or actions towards me, but if you know that you can do something about it and you're choosing not to do something because of whatever reason, and I'm including, the people that think that their own health care is going to be affected because they are standing up for something. I don't think that's a valid excuse. If you're doing that, then you're part of the problem. You are. I have to. I have to say I can't trust you. I can't ask for your help if you're rejecting me and rejecting this kind of problem. I can't do that. And so, maybe that's why I'm trying to pursue my solution on my own, which I still think I can do. And so I strongly believe that Dr. Supor needs to be held accountable. I've been held accountable to all things in my life. I've been raised that way. Um, I've been honest. I think he's a good surgeon. I think he did a great surgery on me up until the sabotage, based on the sensations that I was feeling down there and the recovery that I was having. I sent an email the day before the sabotage that was could have been considered a source of a source of motivation for the sabotage if taken in the wrong context. And I believe that email was intercepted. The Dr. Suporn staff at one point acknowledged that they were reading, they were intercepting my, or monitoring was their word, internet traffic. The sign-on for the Wi-Fi in the hotel for the Wi-Fi had a clause that said, you know, your security is not guaranteed. Are you okay with that? You know, and so I guess I thought that it would be kind of silly for me to think that someone was going to try to read my emails, and not only read them, but take them out of context. Take them out of a context in a language that is not their native language. On top of that, so that happened the day before, and the nature of the sabotage is consistent with comments that were made in that email. So there were other hints that they had hacked into my laptop while I was recovering, because I remember someone asked me for my password while I was half asleep, half out of it from the surgery. I don't know why I gave it, but you know, you're really fighting for your life after a major surgery like that, and you're trying to do everything you can to survive. Someone asks you for some information, you're not in a position to ask them why they need it or anything. So the rationale they offered at the time was they needed to set up my laptop for the wireless, and the tech guy was only going to be here for today, and so I gave my password. I had a diary on that laptop that was open in the form of a spreadsheet, and I'd made comments about some of the staff on my diary. They're just honest comments about what I liked about them, what I didn't. Comments about oh, here comes, you know, somebody, and I'm gonna, you know, hide behind this column in the hotel lobby and wait for them to go by. Well, later on in my stay in Thailand, I think it's Chonburi or something, Thailand. One of the assistants that I had made comments about in my diary said something about one of the other statements I had made in my diary, and only a person that had read my diary would have known, would have been able to say what they said. So I knew that they were reading my diary, and at that point I knew that they knew I knew what was going on. I was afraid to let them know that I knew what was going on, that my surgery had been sabotaged. I was afraid to acknowledge that, because I thought that if they knew that I was smart enough, they might be more aggressive in hurting me. And I believe they had the tools to hurt me. And you know, I went there by myself. I'm single. I'm transgendered. in Thailand with no laws. No laws. They could have made me disappear rather easily. So even if they couldn't, I was afraid for my life, and so I played along like I didn't know what was going on. That I was going to do everything in my power to follow the doctor's orders, and I didn't take a pill when I thought I was going to die, and I hid it under my tongue. I spit it out in a carton while they were watching me on camera, and I managed to survive. Now, I don't think it was just my imagination that I thought I was going to die, because I spent 30 minutes calling my mom from the hospital bed, telling her that I didn't think I was going to make it. So that was a $600 phone call. I wouldn't have made that if I didn't really feel I was like I was going to die. So there's just a lot of things that happened, and I've made some videos, but I haven't really had a chance to have an effective communication with the world about what I've gone through and what I'm dealing with. So, anyways, that's getting rather lengthy. And let me see if I'm still recording. Oh, I am. 35 minutes is 26 minutes. I don't like to do this. Like I said, I feel very alone in this, and there are people out there that are trying to detract from the real story, that say their first attack is, why would the doctor do this? Instead of looking at it in terms of the totality of all the things that I've put together and the evidence, they're still stuck on the why. And I think they're still stuck on the why because of the email that I haven't posted. And the reason I haven't posted the email that Dr. Suporn intercepted is because the transgender community wants to take that email and they want to take it out of context. And they want to then expand on that in ways that were not intended. And I don't think that's fair. You know, I don't think that's fair because there's several reasons why I wrote the email that I haven't been able to discuss, because I can't expose the email because I don't think it's right. I think it's private. It's a private email. And I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think the real issue is, should a doctor be intercepting someone else's communication without their knowledge, without their consent, and taking that interception and perceiving it, taking it out of context, not understanding the context, knowing that they don't understand the context, knowing the risk, and taking an action on it. That's the problem, you know. And you go further than that, and you get to the possibility of the transgender community. Dr. Suporn working for a group of transgender individuals that are directing him to sabotage someone's surgery. Okay, I mean that's the possibility. I mean, I'm not saying it's happened. I don't have any proof yet, but the evidence is overwhelming. I do have copies of my forum correspondence. These are forums that I've been a part of, where I've said things, stated my views, and watched the responses and lack of responses to those views. And basically, what happens is when you say something that's contrary to the mainstream transgender perspective, you get turned off. People will start ignoring you and won't respond to anything that you say. It becomes very troubling. You feel like you're very alone. So I have those communications somewhere on a hard drive somewhere, sitting somewhere, that I may need to pull that out, and and use that as you know, this is a evidence of me being ostracized by the transgender community. Okay, that's about as much as I can say right now, because I've run out of things to say. Again, I wish I could have been more timely with these videos, and I can only say that it's easier said than done to try to reprioritize your life around a problem that you're not getting help with, that you tried for several years to get help with and you didn't, and throw everything else away, like my drumming and my work. It's hard to describe the difficulties. So far I'm just talking to myself. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to post this. I'd have to clean off the metadata, or make sure that there's no location data on the video, so that when I post it, I can't be tracked down. I still feel fear for my life. I think there are people that don't want me around and don't want my story to be told. So for those that were hoping that these videos would stop, I'm sorry. This is 10 years for me, and I didn't think I would have lived to get to this point. I didn't think I would get to 5 years. So 10 years, obviously you can tell I'm rather healthy. I try to run, I try to bicycle every day, and I have been bicycling pretty much every day for the past 3 years, and I think I weigh about 160 to 165, and at my worst weight I weighed 185, so I think the last time I made a video I was 185, and now I'm like maybe 20 pounds lighter. So that's a good thing, and that probably won't change in the near future. I'll probably continue trying to keep myself looking good. I will say I don't ride the bicycle sitting down because of the groin issue. I ride it standing up, so I can ride 7 miles, 15